Hi guys, I'm Reed and I'm glad you could be with me today. The time is 4 AM and behind me is my home airport of Manchester in the north of England. But I'm not flying from Manchester today. A friend's collecting me and taking me around 230 miles to the north to Glasgow Airport in Scotland, and that's where our journey really begins. So let's go. As you can see, 4 hours later and we are already at Glasgow, with around 2 hours to go to boarding. This is my first time here, so I've got some time to explore and have a coffee. The airport opened on the 2nd of May 1966, replacing the smaller Renfrew Airport. It was designed by the famous Scottish architect Sir Basil Spence, who was also responsible for Coventry Cathedral in England. Located around 10 miles west of Glasgow city centre, it's Scotland's second busiest airport after Edinburgh, handling over 8 million passengers annually. Home to Logan Air, the UK's largest regional airline, with over 35 aircraft flying to more than 40 destinations, the airport also caters for other domestic airlines such as Jet2.com, EasyJet and British Airways. Whilst the single runway also provides safe landing for international carriers such as Emirates, KLM and Lufthansa, to name a few. So where are we actually going today? Now, if you're an aviation enthusiast, you'll already know, but for everybody else, we're going to take the daily Logan Air flight to the Isle of Barra and the Outer Hebrides off Scotland's west coast. This is around 140 miles from Glasgow Airport and roughly an hour and 15-minute flight time. Barra's tiny airport is the only airport in the world where scheduled flights land on a tidal beach. Flights there use the sands of Trevor, or the Big Beach, a wide bay where the runway disappears at high tide. That means flight schedules depend on the sea and not just the clock. Opened in 1936, operations began 30 years before Glasgow Airport. So let's get out on the apron and catch our otter. Passengers today are a mix of residents and tourists, some of which, just like me, are coming back later today on the return flight, just wanting to experience a beach landing and a little of what the island can offer. Twin-engined otters are ideal for Barra Airport because they're rugged, versatile, designed for short, rough runways like the breach at Trevor. Being built as a utility aircraft, they can withstand the sand, salt and harsher conditions of a beach landing. This particular aircraft was originally registered in Canada, but now is part of the Logan Air fleet. The aircraft doesn't get pushed back, but uses reverse thrust to get off stand, followed by a short taxi to the runway. There's a brief hold for other departing aircraft, and then we're on our way. Leaving Glasgow's housing behind, climbing to the west, we start to get our first look into the lochs and highlands of western Scotland. Following the climb out from Glasgow, we cruise at around 8,000 feet towards Barra. It's a beautiful day, clear sky and minimal wind. Finally the shores of Barra come into view. Crofts start to pass below as we turn into wind and approach Trevor. Whilst acting as Barra's airport, the beach is open to the public, but signs remind users when to stay clear of the area. Taking in the spectacular view across the bay, where the sands seem to go on for eternity, we will make our way into the terminal and let the ground crew prepare our otter for its return trip. Over the years, the airport will have seen many changes, but the beauty of this place is timeless. I had the option of returning directly to Glasgow, but I've decided to spend a couple of hours here before the second flight of the day arrives. I'm going to check in and then explore. I could stay local to the airport and pass the time visiting the beaches, but I really want to head into the small town of Castlebay. So while I wait for my taxi, let me tell you why I'm curious to see this place and its main street in particular. Barra has an alter ego as the fictitious Isles of Greater and Lesser Toddy. In 1947, the writer Compton Mackenzie published his comic novel Whiskey Galore about a shipwreck on the fictitious isle. The ship was carrying 50,000 cases of whiskey. It quickly became a bestseller and was made by Ealing Studios into one of the classics of British cinema. The setting they chose for Toddy was Barra. A second slightly more serious novel followed, Rockets Galore, and the cameras returned to Toddy. I really can recommend both the books and the films and the real-life story of the SS politician that Mackenzie based the first book on. But now the taxi's here, so let's go. Well guys, welcome to Castlebay and its main street running down to the pier. If you've already seen the film, it will be instantly recognisable, with the church at the top of the hill, buildings occupying the right hand side of the street, and the castle itself a little way out into the bay. The bank is still in the same place. Unfortunately, there's a cash machine for the taxi fare, but the post office has moved to the bottom of the street. In the film, this building was a ruin with no roof visible. Kissamore Castle dates back to the 15th century, but tradition places its founding as early as 1039. It was the stronghold of Clan MacNeil, who probably arrived here as Vikings, and surrounded by water, was never taken by an enemy. It became deserted back in 1838. Sadly, it is closed at the moment to visitors, but hopefully will reopen soon. The other lifeline for the island is the ferry, which takes around about 4 3/4 hours direct from Oban. Back to the airport, it's time to dry off from the rain and wait now for the return shuttle, which should arrive in just a few minutes. Across the sands are the cockle beds that form a valuable part of Barra's economy. Finally, our lift home arrives. Before coming to the Hebrides, this aircraft had its home in Norway. Just something else I would like to mention. If you're thinking about coming to Barra and experiencing this trip, make sure you bring sturdy shoes and clothes that are suitable for the weather, which is best described as variable. Finally back on board, safety briefing completed. We taxi across the sand, hear the engine's note rise, climb out west before turning east to Glasgow. Goodbye, Isle of Otters, and maybe we'll meet again someday. But I think you've answered my question. Otters really can fly.